Hey, so this is episode 1. So I've decided to make the trendy chaos blanket. So basically, if you don't know what a chaos blanket is, I'm crocheting one. So basically, what you do is you pick a stitch, you choose a colour, and then you roll a dice. So pretty much you pick a colour that you're going to use. It's random. Same thing goes for the stitch, and then you roll a dice. And then whatever number you rolled is how many rows you are going to do. So the colours that I'm picked for this chaos blanket is green, pastel pink, yellow, pink, pastel blue, brown, blue, red, mint, which is a mint green, pastel purple, orange, cream, and there is a yellow in here that I've picked. So those are basically all my colours that I've picked for my chaos blanket. So I'm going to fold those up and put them in the tub. But before I do that, I will tell you the stitches that I've chosen for this chaos blanket. So I've chosen the stitches that I can pick from is a shell stitch, a moss stitch, a Zelvia stitch, granny, half double, V-stitch, single crochet, double crochet, and I've picked the star stitch. So I'm just going to fold these up, put them in the container, and then I'll pick the colour and the stitch that I'm going to be doing, and then we'll roll the dice for the rows that I'm going to be doing. Okay, so I've got them all folded up in these little containers. I'm going to be making 2 chaos blankets. They're both going to be completely different. I'm going to make 2 of them. The first one I am making for my daughter. And the second one I'm going to be, because I'm hoping to give my daughter a sibling within the next 12 months. I want to make another blanket for my next baby. They're going to be both completely different blankets. And I'm going to make them big enough for my children to grow into them. So I'm going to make them like big enough so my kids can grow into them. But I don't want to make them too big because it's going to be like hard on me. So this first blanket I'm going to be making is for my daughter, Indiana. And then the next blanket will be for my next baby. So pretty much after I make it, I'll probably just stick it in my wardrobe until I have a baby. But let's pick. And both of these blankets are going to be completely different. Because it really depends on what rows and what stitches I do for both blankets. So this is Indiana's blanket. So let's pick the colour that I'm going to be using for the first row. So I've picked mint. So that's the first colour is mint. I don't have much mint, so maybe I might pick a different colour because I'm actually going to pick a different colour because I literally do not have that much mint at all. I'm going to go to the shops later to get some more yarn. So I know I shouldn't be doing that for the first round, but I don't have that much mint. That I do have pastel purple. So pastel purple is the very first colour that I'm going to be using. And to make sure I don't double up on these colours, this purple I'm actually going to sit outside of the container until after the next episode because I don't want to double up on these stitches. Because like if I roll a 6 then that's 6 rows. And then if I get the pastel purple tomorrow for episode 2 and I roll a 6, that's like 12 rows. So, and same thing goes for stitches. I don't want to double up on any stitches or colours. So, that will just sit out until after I'm done with the next episode. So, now it's time for the stitch. This one I will not be redrawing because it doesn't really matter. I've never actually done this stitch before. Moss stitch. So that's going to be interesting because I've never done a moss stitch before. So I'm going to have to look that up on YouTube on how to do a moss stitch. So pastel purple moss stitch. Let's go. I also forgot to roll my dice. So let's find out how many rows of moss stitches I got to do in pastel purple. 4 rows. So I got to do 4 rows in pastel purple moss stitch. So let's go for real this time. So I did know that we're going to do pastel purple in moss stitch, which we are. But I was also seeing on social media where all the other people have done moss stitches on Chaos Blanket is you got to really have 2 colours. So I've got 4 rows of this pastel purple to do, but to really show the moss stitch, I've got to have 2 colours. So I'm going to pick what colour is going to go with the purple. It's only really for maybe like moss stitch, like a couple stitches. Like it's not for every single stitch to do this. Pink. So we're going to be doing the moss stitch, 4 rows, pink and purple, pink and pastel purple. Okay, so those are the colours I'm definitely going to be using. Okay, so I'm back and I've just done my foundation chain. I have done 360 rows, chains. So I've done 360 chains. So obviously, clearly I'm starting with pink for my moss stitch. So I'm going to start off my round number 1 with pink, and then I'll go to purple, and then I'll do pink again, and then finish off my 4th row with purple. So I'll be back once I've done a little bit more to my moss stitches. Okay, so I've just done finished row 1, and I've actually started row 2. So that's kind of what it's looking like at the moment. So if I just pick it up. So that's kind of what it looks like at the moment. The moss stitch for the Chaos Blanket. So that's kind of what it's looking like at the moment. With row 1 complete and I've started row 2. So I'll come back once I have finished row 4. Okay, so I've just finished row 4 of the moss stitch on my Chaos Blanket for episode 1. I just need to sew in the ends, so I'm going to go do that, and then I'll show you what episode 1 looks like with 4 rows of moss stitch. Okay, so I'm back and I've finished sewing in all of the yarn, except for 2 pieces of the yarn. The 2 pieces of the yarn is actually the top colour, so I'll sew those in after I've finished the next row. So this is what my blanket is looking like at the moment. So there's 4 rows of this blanket. It is the moss stitch, and there are 2 colours because it looks better and you can see the actual moss stitch with 2 colours versus only 1. So the 2 colours is pink and a pastel purple. So stick around to see the progress in the blanket for every single episode. The next episode is tomorrow when I draw out my next stitch, my next colour, and roll the dice for the rows. So I wonder what I'll get tomorrow. So I'll see you for episode 2 tomorrow.